I'm here to begin. And so here we are recording. Thank you for joining this afternoon's webinar on Terrain Navigator Pro map layers and data resources. Thank you for joining us. Today we will be talking about the comprehensive data set, the maps that are available to you in Terrain Navigator Pro. And I'm pretty excited to share this information with you. As I was going through the different combinations of maps and map types that can be merged in Terrain Navigator Pro, I think that this is going to shed a lot of light on the different types of maps and when to use different maps in Terrain Navigator Pro. One of the other suggestions that I do like to make to everyone is to go ahead and make sure that you're running the latest version of Terrain Navigator Pro, which is 12.1. If you are experiencing any difficulties upgrading to 12.1, please contact our support department for assistance in getting up to date with the latest version. You will be pleasantly surprised with some of the improvements and enhancements that we continue to make to Terrain Navigator Pro on your behalf as we listen to what your concerns are and so forth. So we do implement our customers' suggestions, and we thank you for that feedback. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk a little bit, some technical things ahead of time. So what's new with the latest version, the 12.1? We do have new and or updated satellite imagery. So what we've done is updated the standard satellite photos, and we've added street hybrid editions. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through each of the map types. New or updated is our street map, which we'll talk about that as well, and the terrain outdoor contour map. With this edition of Terrain Navigator Pro, the Terrain Contour Edition was discontinued, but it has been replaced with a shaded relief style map. Now, what does that mean? The shaded relief style map actually gives you a 3D effect. So I'm going to demonstrate that, and I think you're going to be very pleased with the shaded relief in learning more about that particular map type. And one of the things also, just in terms of talking about the technical end of things on our maps, the question is it 1 meter or, what type of resolution do we see with Terrain Navigator Pro maps? So for the satellite images, the resolution appears to be, it's going to vary from location to location. And one of the things that we want to consider is, we source this particular data, so we're at the mercy of our provider. So we don't have control in every single, map view of the, of all 49 states that we provide. So the resolution will, you may be on a particular map scale and what's the resolution of that in one state versus in another. That will be dependent on our data source. The maximum resolution is going to be 1 in 565. So that's going to be, from our data source, zoom level is going to be 20 on that. And that works out to be better than 1/2 meter resolution. So that's, very detailed, very high resolution. The other map types, the streets and contours, are also capped at a 1 in 565, zoom level 20. These are rasterized vectors, and the source image resolution does not apply. As far as our coverage area with the latest version for 12.1, the street/outdoor maps appear to have full US coverage. So that's excellent with that. And the satellite images will vary wildly as far as our coverage. They're especially detailed. If you're working in, urban areas, you'll see that the high resolution detailed satellite photos, there's a significant difference within the urban settings as opposed to, like, let's say the heartland or, that's a distance from those cities. So look for those updated high resolution updates, like I said, in local urban settings. And so the ones in rural settings, you may, it's going to depend on, again, our map data source. So without further ado, we're going to get started with Terrain Navigator Pro. So let me go ahead and I am going to open up Terrain Navigator Pro. Now, one of the things that I've already done is created a TNP project for this particular webinar. If you're not familiar with Terrain Navigator Pro projects, I do recommend that you go to the YouTube channel. We have a number of videos that cover how to set up TNP projects in Terrain Navigator Pro. So I've already set up a Terrain Navigator Pro project. Secondly, the location that we're going to be working with today is going to be Redding, California. So all of the maps and the different map combinations and merges and so forth are going to be local to Redding, California. And so I just wanted to, let you know about that. Couple of other items is that, the high resolution satellite photos are streaming down from our TNP servers to your local computer. So as we know, working with high resolution photos and having that stream down, your mileage is going to vary as to how fast that will download for you. Things like your, how fast your connection is to the internet, how large the maps are, and so forth. So I just would recommend, we just be patient because we are streaming a lot of data down to your local computer. Another thing that I want to mention is, the different zoom levels and so forth. So we'll be covering the map library, ways to merge the different maps, and share some tips and tricks to get the most out of the TNP subscription. So the first thing I do want to show, just in case you were not aware of this, is that TNP actually has two views. So right now we're looking at a aerial photo that's over Redding, California. But for those who may not be aware, we can split the screen and show two side-by-side maps of the same location. So again, what I did, I came underneath here where it has the from the one single window mode to the two window mode that's under the state there. I clicked on that. Now to change the right-hand side or the left-hand side, it doesn't matter, but I can just click on that window and I can say, okay, show me the topo. And so you'll see the topo for that particular area. We could change this one on the right as well. And again, all your maps you're going to access are going to be under the scale, which is at the top up here, and the different types of maps that are available. Now, I do want to mention while we're here that the button here, there's looks like a little lock in the middle, but it locks the two windows together. So if I click on that, and let's say I begin to scroll in one of the map windows, these will be synchronized together. So two window mode is fantastic in terms of, for comparison's sake, maybe you want to, compare two different views or two different maps. You can use the two window map mode to do that. So for the purposes of what we're doing here, I'm going to go back to single window mode. And one of the things here, I've got some bookmarks that I have already set up in Terrain Navigator Pro. So I'm going to go to my first bookmark view, and I'm going to go to Find, and then I will go to Bookmarks. And the first type of map we're going to look at is going to be the topo map. So what we're going to do is go ahead and replace my active map with the topo setting. You'll see this is the traditional USGS hand-drawn map. One of the things that we like about these particular maps is that they are detailed. They're going to give you like these little dots here. These are houses. There's a lot of detailed in the hand-drawn USGS maps. If one of the things that has been said is, well, how can we bring these up to date because these are older? And so one of the things we do recommend is that what we do is we turn on the streets layer. So what I did, let me just go back because I did that a little bit quickly. If we click under the help menu, here it is with the arrow. That's a shortcut to our layers window, so we can turn on and off layers, GIS layers on the map. What I will do is go to our streets, and I just want to turn that on just to show you how you can take a USGS topo and now you can make it current. So there's a current streets layer on Terrain Navigator Pro that's going to help to get your view situated and so forth. I'm going to go back to my shortcut, and I will turn off that streets layer, and we'll get into the meat of the map, TNP map library, and things that are available. So let me go ahead and close that. Most of the work we're going to be doing this afternoon is right here. So these are the different types of maps that are available. So we have USGS Topo, we have aerials, we have satellites, we have street, terrain, and Google Earth. And we're just going to take each one of these piece by piece and show the different things that can be done. So we're going to work with this USGS Topo. The middle button here, there are 3 different types of maps that we can work with topos. So right now we're going to stay with the standard USGS, and right now we have no merge, and that's the view that we have currently. So we are able to, if we need to go back and take a look at that, we have that available to us. The next map we're going to look at under topo is going to be a shaded relief topo. So let me go ahead and bring that up. And one of the things that I do want to show you here is the contours. So I'm just going to bring our map over here again. Our view is the city of Redding, California. The shaded relief gives us, in essence, a 3D effect. So the contours or the elevations seem to pop through the screen. So when you think shaded relief, think about that in terms of a 3D view. And it has, some beautiful, colors and so forth that you can use to create your maps. One of the things is, the next one that we have is, again, we're sticking with our topo. We've got a relief map, and now we're going to merge it with an aerial photo. And what you'll see here is there's a blending that goes on between these 2 map types. So when we say merge, we're blending 2 different map types. And underneath, what you'll see is, the USGS topo that is underneath that aerial photo. It's a very nice looking map. So let me go ahead and let's go to the aerial enhanced. And the aerial enhanced enhances the colors. Let me just back out a little bit here. One of the things that you'll see, I'm going to back out my scale just a little bit here. You'll see, that it does produce, at a scale of 1 in 18,000, some of those 3D effects. Let's say you were looking for nearby forests or things of that nature. Even the colors here along this body of water, it just kind of pops out. So that's a real nice looking map. We can do a topo merged or blended with a satellite image. It's going to be a higher resolution. Let me just go ahead, and you'll see underneath here, as I mentioned, these are houses that come from the USGS topo, and it blends in nicely with our aerial photo. So the this particular type, the satellite image, gives you that beautiful look. You can zoom crisper resolutions at higher resolutions, so it really does give you some nice benefits there. Let me go ahead and take the hybrid street merged with a topo. Let me go ahead and zoom back out for a second here. So what you'll see with the hybrid street is your main, thoroughfares or highways here. With your streets information, it will give you a 3D effect also, but it's the streets, and it keeps the detail. Let me go ahead and talk about here our street map. And there is, again, the street map that is also, shown with the USGS Topo. So let's go ahead and talk about, so that's our topo. Now let's talk about our standard USGS with colors. So we've done the standard USGS, we've done our shaded relief, which is 3D. Now let's talk about standard USGS with colors. One of the things that I'd like to point your attention to is on the right-hand side. These standard USGS topos were available as paper charts first, and provided a lot of information on the outside of the map, on the collar, if you will, or the outside of the map. So, for example, if you look over here where I have the hand here, you're looking at township section range for the surveyors or others that use that coordinate system. Again, back to the days before things were digital, that information was provided here. 35 feet gives you the UTM coordinates. So there's useful information on the USGS colors that aren't provided just in digital format. One of the things that I want to do is go ahead and bring you to the bottom of this quad sheet. So these were called quadrangle maps. And one of the things, as we go to the bottom of this, I just want to point out, here is some information at the bottom of this collar that gives you, again, the information that we talked about as far as the coordinate. It will also, give you road classifications. I mean, if we zoomed or panned this way, it will give you the scale, give you the date, and so forth. So there are, there is handy information that is available on the collars for those that need that information. You'd be able to find it that way. So that takes care of going through our different, opportunities here with the topo maps. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go back to my bookmarks, and we're going to pull up the next type of map, which is going to be our, let me go back here. We're going to go back to Redding, California. So let's just go back up here. Then I'm going to go to Find, and I'm going to go to my bookmarks. And I want to go to my aerial bookmark. I'm going to replace my active view. Here we are. This circle is just the center of the screen here. And let me go ahead and zoom in here. And so what we're looking at is an aerial map. The different types of aerial maps that Terrain Navigator Pro does provide is not just the latest aerial photo. The source for our aerial photos, by the way, is the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture. And so those are, people say, well, what's the difference between an aerial and a satellite, for example? The aerial photo is flown by plane, and the satellite comes from further out into, from the satellites that are in outer space. So just a little difference there. But continuing here, TNP has a number of historical aerial photos so that you can access those if you're looking or doing some comparisons, would like to know what a particular map looked like. There are different views here. They go all the way back to 1998. For right now, we are going to just stay with our standard aerial photo. I will discuss one of the other historical aerial photos after we get through going through the different combinations of aerials. So we have no merge, which is what this looks like. And then the next one down, we can merge that with a topo. So what we're doing here is merging the USGS topo with the aerial. Let me just back off our zoom level here. And let's go ahead and take a look here at some of those things. What's really nice about merging it with the topo, it gives you the boundaries of the city. So for example, in this salmon color, you can see the outskirts and the boundaries of Redding. You can see, the blue of the waterways, for example. You can also pick up on the contours. So there are advantages to different views. One of the things that TNP is used for, there is a Criminal Minds uses TNP to create their maps. And so TNP has been used in a number of different settings, and with the different combinations of maps that are available in TNP, it can be used for props, it could be used for, work that you're doing, creating reports and the like. So again, very nice looking photo with the topo. Now let's take a look at it enhanced. Again, one of the things is that you'll see that the colors really pop. And again, it depends. What's going to be pleasing to one person's eye is going to be, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So when you're looking at, wow, which types of maps should I use for what purposes, it's really going to depend on why you're creating that map and what's pleasing to your eye. So we're going to run through the different combinations to present those to you, and then you can do your own experimenting. So this is an aerial photo that has been blended or merged with an enhanced Usgs Topo. Let's take a look at that topo and what it looks like with 3D. And what I want to do is just zoom around here. You'll see, let's say, for example, down this way, you'll see the contour lines here and so forth. And again, showing that shaded relief topo underneath. Here's the USGS that's shaded with an enhanced look as well. Let me go ahead and just zoom that back out. And again, zoom levels are going to be depending on how much of the map you do want to see and so forth. You'll see the interchange, the highways here that run through the city of Reading, or right off the highway or so forth. Let's take a look at that aerial merged with a street map. The blues really pop through here. The street map, the major thoroughfares on the street map are going to be a little bit thicker, and so it's going to go down from there as far as road classifications or whatever, so it makes it a little bit more easier to identify major highways and byways and so forth. The outdoor contour map with the aerial that has been merged together makes a beautiful map as well. One of the things that when you're looking at that outdoor one, it again is going to give you, let's just zoom the map over here. Located to the west of Reading is going to be those contours and so forth. So if you're after elevations or you need to know that information, you would want to go ahead and take advantage of this particular map. One of the last ones, the next one would be the terrain contour map. Again, that is a nice looking, it looks like it's a little bit washed out. These particular terrain maps that are a little bit washed out, you say, well, what, how is that beneficial? One of the things that does is doesn't put the emphasis on the map, but let's say you had, a marker, and so forth. You could go ahead and, change the color of the map, that marker. You could also change the color, of the symbol and so forth. But one of the things that it does do is pop the markers and the routes and the tracks. And then it's able to, you can blend it. That's what's going to be the emphasis, is your markers, routes, and tracks on these washed out maps. So again, everything, it does have its purpose. So recommend that you do a lot of experimenting with the different types of maps that we're exposing you in this afternoon's webinar. You can really, take advantage of some of these maps. And the last one here that I do want to cover here is going to be the shaded relief. Again, now this is a very high resolution map. This is what we would convey as the equivalent of, let's say, Google or what have you, because what you'll see is, let me go ahead and change my tool here. Let me go to the hand. I do want to pan and show you to the west of Reading, you know, this mountainous regions and so forth. So it does, you know, make for a nice looking map. If I just come back and say, okay, give me this aerial, but don't give me a merge, you'll see that that 3D effect does go away. It's not as prominent. So beauty and detail is in the eye of the book holder. So those little things can make a huge difference. So that basically takes care of our aerial photos. Now, you know, standard aerial photos. Now let's talk about your historical photos. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose 1998. So bear with me for just a second. We're going to do no merge, and we are going to go back to a historical aerial photo. And bear with me for just a second here. And one of the things with your historical aerial photos is it will bring up different views in Terrain Navigator Pro for your historical aerial photos. So just bear with me for just a second. And what we're going to do is do no merge. And we're going to go ahead and continue to pull up that historical aerial photo for 1998 in the Reading. All right. So it does make a difference that you're at the right scale, which I was not aware of. So you do need to be at the appropriate scale. So we're at 1 in 18,000. And one of the things that I will do is go to my bookmark. So let me go to Find Bookmark. And let's look at our 1998 historical map. Again, we're back on, this is my bookmark. This is the center where Reading is. And we can do some comparisons. We could do a two side-by-side view to see what buildings might have been there in 1998 versus what's available to us now. We can go ahead now, and what's neat about this, that's just the straight aerial photo for 1998. I can merge this now with a topo. And what's neat, let me go back to my, you'll see the black and white photo that's under here. So anything that was white is going to be blended in with the topo. And, you know, that has a lot of benefits, as well as, you know, whatever's white is going to be transparent and is going to blend with that particular photo. Let me go ahead and go to the enhanced photo that is merged with a historical aerial photo. Again, different colors that pop and so forth. And we're just going to go through the list here on your shaded relief topos that are merged with that historical aerial photo. I'm just going to go through the views. We talked about enhanced. Here's a great section here where you can see the contours and the 3D effect nicely. You can go ahead and pull up that streets map where we talked about, you know, the major highways are emphasized. You also can do the outdoor contour map and take a look at that. Let me just back up on a view there. And so you'll see, you know, the major emphasis on the highways, but you'll also see, again, if I move to the west, some of the forested areas that you can identify easily with the historical aerial that is blended with the outdoor map, the terrain contour map. Again, when you're looking at these terrain outdoor maps, they kind of wash out the colors, but that's so you can emphasize markers, routes, and tracks. Print that and include those in reports or whatever you need to do. So there's some really nice maps that are available with TNP. And let's go ahead and pull up the shaded relief, which gives you that really nice 3D map that is just, you know, gorgeous in terms of high resolution map and, giving that 3D effect. So basically, I'm not going to go through all the iterations, but you get the idea. You select your historical aerial photo that you want, and then you can do all the combinations and permutations from there. So very excited about that, all of these different maps that are available to you with Terrain Navigator Pro. We're going to turn our attention now to the satellite photo. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go to my bookmarks. And what I'm going to do is I'll pull up my satellite view. Let me go ahead and replace the active one there. Again, the center of our, Redding, California. Again, we're going to look at this. We have our satellite image chosen. There are two different types of satellite photos. There's your standard satellite photo, and then there's hybrid satellite street photo. We're going to stay with standard for now, and right now we're going to have no merge, so that's what we're looking at. And if we go ahead and merge the satellite photo with the topo, let me just pull out on our scale here, we're able to identify, different information at different scales. And I'm going to pull that back up even just a little bit more. So if you really need to get a bird's eye view of a specific area, using the different scales and so forth is a very handy way of doing this. Which is fantastic. Let me go ahead and just show some of these other ones. We've already talked about them. Here's the enhanced photo with the blues and the greens, the shaded relief, which let me go ahead and bring our zoom level in, and I will also pan over this way. Again, a great looking map with respect to that. We have our enhanced view as well, and we can go ahead and pull up our street map. So we can identify the highways. The outdoor contour map has a nice blend of the eye colors that pop, as well as the major thoroughfares. And our terrain contour map, again, emphasis here is going to be on markers, routes, and tracks. And lastly, our shaded relief, which is going to give us that neat 3D effect. So let's go ahead then and move to our next type, which is the satellite hybrid photo. And what I'm going to do is pull up my bookmark for that. And let's go ahead and we're going to pull up satellite hybrid bookmark. Let me replace the active view. Let's just talk about this map a little bit. So this is a satellite. It is a hybrid with the streets. And if you really need to identify something very quickly with respect to a highway, or that a location is off the highway, or you need to identify, the different types of roadways, this is a fantastic, the hybrid street satellite photo is a great way to do that. And now we have a little bit of less options here for our merging. So we can go ahead and merge it with topo. So again, you're maintaining the emphasis on your eye is drawn to the streets as well. And then there's other detail that you can go ahead and zoom in, at different levels with this particular view. Let's go ahead and bring up the enhanced view. I'm going to zoom out just a tad here in this region. You're going to get some nice detail in this map as well. Our shaded relief, which is going to, bring us to different, location. It'll bring us a view of, forested areas and so forth. And our shaded relief enhanced, which is going to blend those two different maps. Again, keep in mind, beauty is in the eye of the beholder for your particular project, for your particular application, and really what you want to do, to what information do you want to convey to those that are looking at your map. So it's going to really depend on what you're looking to do with all of those things. So that takes care of our satellite photos and our two different maps. We've gone through the standard satellite image and the hybrid. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the street maps. I will pull up my bookmark for that view. So bear with me as I go to bookmarks. And what we're going to do is pull up our street map, and we're going to replace our active. Now the street map is going to be, it's not going to give you the detail as far as the contours or, colors for those things. Emphasis is going to be on the streets and so forth. Now, what we can do with our street map is, that's the only choice that you can select. But you can do 3 different merges. We can go ahead and merge this with a topo, very nice looking map there. We can, merge that with a shaded relief. This is one of my favorite maps because it gives you the terrain underneath, but it also gives you, some of the other information from the topo underneath. So to me, that's one that's very pleasing to the eye. With this street map, you can also do a shaded relief. And that shaded relief, let me just pull out just a little bit. So it is, underneath, going to give you, where the elevations are. And it's going to, show up in this gray type of a thing. So that's where you see the blending of these different map types and where you see the ability of, the TNP map library with all of its permutations and combinations. You can really explore the depths of our map library for your particular application. So we're pretty excited about that. That takes care of our streets maps. Let's go ahead, and we do want to go to our terrain map. So let me go to my bookmark here, and let's go to our terrain. There are 2 different types of terrain maps that we can do, actually 3. So let's just take a look at terrain outdoor map first. We're going to replace the active. What you'll see here is I have terrain selected here. Under the middle button, there are 3 different types, as I mentioned. There's outdoor contours, there's terrain contours, and shading only. So let's take these one at a time. This is the terrain map. It does not have right now any merge. But what I do want to do is, let's go ahead and let's just zoom in. Let's go ahead and remove the center of the map here. And let's go through the different types here. We can take this terrain map, we can merge that, for example, with a aerial photo. And what you'll see is I zoomed in to get that. So we're at a scale of 1 in 18,000. And this is also a beautiful looking map, which would give you emphasis again on your markers, routes, and tracks. And give you enough detail if you wanted to include roads or things of that nature. Let's go ahead and take that terrain outdoor map. Let's merge it with a satellite photo. Again, sometimes you might have to work with, the resolutions. So let me just zoom out here and so forth. Let's pull this back out. I'm at a scale of 1 in 144,000. You'll see that scale that's denoted up here. Let's say if you're looking for a more bird's eye view, you can go ahead and do the terrain outdoors map merged again with the satellite photo. So far so good. Let's go ahead and take the next combination, which is going to be, again, that terrain map. And we're going to talk about terrain contour. One of the things, let me go to my bookmark view, bookmark terrain contour map. And let's go ahead and replace our active view there. And let's go ahead and remove the center. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And what you'll see is maybe you don't need all of the, all of the other colorings or the detail that comes from, like, say, the topo or the aerial or the satellite. But so this is the contour map that is not merged. Let me go back here. We're looking at a contour map. It's not merged. And I can go ahead and zoom in. I can get the different things that are available in that area and so forth. And let's take that contour map and go ahead and bring up our merging that with an aerial photo, you'll see, let me just go ahead and zoom in here. You'll see, like, here are some streets, some houses, things of that nature, which gives you that. And if we go ahead and merge that with satellite image, finer resolution, detailed map. Here's somebody's pool right here. Let me go ahead and zoom that out. And even one more. This is a really fine looking map, with information that could be very beneficial. Here's the airstrip here and so forth. So those basically take us through all of our different maps. We've gone through all of our types of maps that are associated with the original map type and the different blends that we can do with those. So let's go ahead. Some of our customers had asked us to include an interface to Google Earth. And one of the benefits of that is the ability to, bring in Google Map imagery into Terrain Navigator Pro. So I am going to go ahead. Let me select my Google Earth, and it's TNP is going to connect to Google Earth. Now, I do recommend that you be very patient with this. Again, with the understanding, we're connecting to Google Earth, and the first time that you do that, we're taking high resolution photos, and now we're taking them in from the Google servers. And so, this was done as a courtesy for our customers. And one of the things that's nice about this is you can get the level of detail with Google right into Terrain Navigator Pro. So this is an extremely powerful feature in Terrain Navigator Pro. I'm just going to continue to zoom in here and show you. So we're coming in with Google. We can get down into Terrain Navigator Pro with Google Earth and get down to the street view here. So it's a very powerful, capability that we've built into Terrain Navigator Pro. Now, one of the things that we are at the mercy of when we're bringing Google Earth images into Terrain Navigator Pro is, Google Earth doesn't have to tell us when they update their software or if they do any bug fixes or any of those things. So in the past, they have made some updates. They're not under any obligation to let us know that they've done that, but then it affects the Terrain Navigator Pro code. So, if you're working in Google Earth in Terrain Navigator Pro and then something, goes awry, I just want to give our customers an understanding that things can change on their end. They don't notify us and it breaks. So what we do is we go and we take a look at that. And we rectify that situation as soon as we possibly can. So just to give you an understanding of, some of the behind the scenes, things here. Once you bring Google Earth into Terrain Navigator Pro, you can go ahead now and do a 2-window view. And now, again, bringing the power of Terrain Navigator Pro to bear, you can do a side-by-side display. You can have Google Earth up in one window. You can then say, okay, you know what? I don't want the topo. Hey, what does the satellite look like? And you can bring that up and so forth. You can lock it. As you see, it automatically went out to the same zoom scale that Terrain Navigator Pro did. And let's just, hey, okay, let's compare the Google images with the satellite photos that TNP is providing. So, just some really powerful things you can do. I really highly recommend that you explore Google Earth in Terrain Navigator Pro and really get the most, out of your Terrain Navigator Pro subscription. One of the things that we've been very proud of the fact is that TNP provides mapping solutions to our customers for about $20 a month for a base subscription. And we're happy to provide this training because it gives you the ability to really plumb the depths of the mapping features and so forth that we've added to Terrain Navigator Pro to help you in your jobs in every day without being super expensive. So we're very happy about that. One of the things that I'm going to go ahead now and I do want to demonstrate for you is our Parcel data subscription. We do have a number of our customers that have not only the base subscription, but have also added the Parcel data subscription. And the reason I'm going to just do a quick overview of that is because we have just updated the TNP Parcel data. And let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead to my bookmarks. I will go to, and we're just going to give TNP just a minute here as it is, closing out here. So just a minute here as we're waiting for TNP to do that. But just to talk a little bit while we're waiting here for the Parcel data subscription. The Parcel data subscription is sold on a case-by-case basis. A state-by-state basis. The cost is $120 per year. That breaks down to $10 a month. And we're just, it does provide you the opportunity to work with land parcels and not have to, trace out the land parcel. TNP is going to give you those boundaries, and it will do so in such a way that you don't, it's just easy to do. So bear with me for just a second here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go to my bookmarks. And what we will do is, what we will do here is pull up our bookmarks. One of the things that I want to do is go to our Parcel, a bookmark here. And bear with me for just a second. It's a Parcel data bookmark. Let me replace my active view here. And let me go ahead. I am going to turn off benchmarks because we will talk about that. So let me go to my shortcut here. I'm going to turn off my benchmarks. And let's go ahead. I'm going to zoom in. And what you'll see here are a number of houses. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Parcel data subscription. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you. So if you had the Parcel data subscription, this is what this would look like. And we can go ahead. I'm going to zoom into another level. Right now, we're showing the owner's name on that land parcel. And what we've done is Parcel data was updated earlier this month, so at the beginning of May. And we process updates to the Parcel data every 3 to 6 months. And so I just want to demonstrate this real quick. Let's say if we were at this Parcel data, this land parcel, what we could do is right-click on it, and we could easily create a track, and that track would show up on the TNP mobile project so that if you were out in the field, you would have the boundary already, worked out for you without having to do that by scratch or by hand, I should say. So just wanted to make notice of that. The next thing that I do want to cover, we're almost to the end here, so thank you for your patience and your understanding. But I do want to bring up one of the things that we did update as well this time around was our Ngs data sheets. Now, I've pulled over the window here for our website, which is terrainnavigator.com. If I click on my downloads menu, you can update the TNP from here, or there's two windows, state-specific downloads and updates. And so if you are a surveyor, I know in the surveyor industry, we're working with a lot of, you need to know where those benchmarks are. And the important thing is to, especially if you're in the surveying industry, is to have updated benchmarks that you can anchor to. So you would go to your specific state, so we're in California. We would download the NGS updates. So I would click on this. And what you would do is just run this executable file, make sure all your windows are closed. TNP will bring you through that process and will update your NGS benchmarks or data sheets. Let me go ahead and minimize that. I will go here. I'm back in Terrain Navigator Pro. Let me go ahead and turn off my Parcel data layer. And what we'll do here is close this. And I do want to turn on the layer for the benchmarks so that you can take a look at that. Benchmarks will show up no matter what view of the map that you have. Let me just zoom out here. And you'll see, like right off to the right here, the benchmarks are triangles. What I will do on this is right-click on this. I'm going to pull up information. And for those that work with NGS data sheets, it's going to give you all the information. Please note, these were, like I said, just updated in May. The retrieval date is at the top of the NGS data sheet. And it's going to give you all the details that specifically, are affected by this particular benchmark. So all your technical information that you could need is provided to you in TNP. You can go ahead, you can copy it, you can print it, you can save it as a file, etc. So again, more of the abilities for TNP, for professional folks that are using this every day. Well, that pretty much takes care of our webinar this afternoon. I would take any questions that anyone has with respect to our new map library, our updates. If there's anything that you would like to communicate, but please use the chat button here. If you're finding, that these webinars are useful, if you could let us know that as well. And also, if you do have some suggestions for webinars going forward, please feel free to contact me directly, Michelle. I'd be happy to work in the ability to bring TNP, to use for you and answer any webinar questions that you might have. So I have a question here from Leonard. Does TNP have the ability to generate geospatial PDFs for the Avenza app? And the question to that, Leonard, is not at this time. TNP does not support GeoPDF. That is something that we are taking into consideration. If this is something that is really important to the TNP community, I would recommend that a number of you go to our user voice forum. That's going to be tnp.uservoice.com. And there you can provide feedback for upper management as well as our technical folks to implement features. The more customers that say that they are interested in GeoPDF, upper management will review that. And we'll take that under advisement. So any suggestions like that, highly recommend that you go to our user voice forum and express your opinions and let us know what features are useful to you and why. Do we have any other questions? I have a question here from Paige. What happens to your access to these layers if your subscription lapses? And that's a good thing. If your Terrain Navigator Pro subscription lapses, your access to the layers goes away. In other words, TNP has been on a subscription base for a couple of years. If your subscription lapses, then TNP is no longer working for you, so you would need to reactivate your subscription. Do we have any other questions? By the way, if anyone needs a certificate of completion for professional credits, please let me know. I'd be happy. If you actually sat in on the call and needed that, I'd be happy to provide a certificate of completion for you. Do we have any other questions at this time? Any comments? Any suggestions? Well, it is exactly 1 o'clock Eastern time. That brings us to a close for this afternoon's webinar. Again, thank you for this, and I will send out a Leonard, you're welcome. Thank you for that comment. This concludes our this afternoon's webinar, and please contact me directly if I can be of further assistance. Thank you so much for joining today.